Hi, Chanel.
Hello, Cinti.
So, what movies are we talking about today?
Today we are talking about Anora and The Last Showgirl. Wow.
Okay.
Did you watch the Actors on Actors this year?
Some of them. I know that I know the actress who played Anora, and then I don't remember Pamela Anderson's character's name. I think the actress who played Anora is Mikey. I think her name is Mikey, and then Pamela Anderson did a Actors on Actors. And to be honest, I think watching the Actors on Actors is what made me think that those would be two good movies to kind of compare for I don't remember. I think it was like we had a conversation about it where somebody was just like, yeah, I feel like these would be two good movies to discuss together in a movie episode. Because, you know, Actors on Actors said that they're similar-ish.
Yes, ma'am. And I'm just pulling up the IMDb.
Please. Because I don't know nothing.
See a little something, you know?
My brain, the thing is, like, I know I've watched these movies, right? But it's just the way that life happens. And so much information just goes in one ear out the other, where I retain it for maybe the 2 to 3 days afterwards, or let's just say a week, depending on like when you see it, if I've seen it first or vice versa. And then after that, it just kind of disappears so that the next movie that I want to watch, that information can get lodged into my brain. You know?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So do you got your IMDb up?
Yes, I have both of them up. Which movie would you like to talk about first?
Let's do The Last Showgirl, because I know that one was your favorite of the two.
Yes, it actually was my favorite movie of all time, actually.
Favorite. Yeah.
Top
number
tier.
Number one. I don't know.
Better than like Challengers, better than Femme, better than any movie I've ever watched in my entire life.
Yep. So let's start with The Last Showgirl, Chanel's favorite movie ever.
Yeah. So I can do the description for this one. So
of course.
This movie is about how would you describe it?
A Las Vegas showgirl?
Yes, a Las Vegas showgirl, but she's like at the end of her career. Let's say that.
A veteran.
Yes, veteran beyond.
Does veteran dictate like you have to be retired in some sense?
That's a good question. I have no idea.
Okay.
But anyway, she's about to be veteran. A veteran, if we use it in that aspect.
Yes.
So, yes, the main character, Shelly. I just hit my blinds behind me. My bad. Anyways, so Shelly, the main character, she is...
played by Pamela Anderson.
Yes, Pamela Anderson. She is a Vegas showgirl, and she has been on the scene since, like, the 80s at least. And so back in the 80s, her little show that she was in was top tier. Everybody was like, yeah, Vegas showgirls, yeah. But now the show is coming to a close, as we find out. And she has to figure out what's next. I think that's enough. Do you think there's any more to add for just the general overview?
No.
Yeah,
I would like to say, though, The Last Showgirl could go so many ways, where it could easily be like like an action film where it's Vegas showgirls battling for their lives, and Pamela Anderson is the last one to survive. That would be a very interesting concept.
So
much more interesting in my
different movies.
Because much more interesting than the movie that we watched.
Yeah. So should we? Okay, so before we were bouncing back and forth from like scenes that we either enjoyed or found interesting. You want to continue it like that, Cindy?
We can.
Or the other idea is we could just say things that we liked and then things that we didn't and go back and forth that way. So which one do you prefer?
So here's the thing. If we did the scenes, I think there's probably only like 2 scenes of note, maybe 3 that I could talk about.
Yeah.
But then I feel like the things that I like, I feel like that list might be a little bit shorter.
True.
So I say let's just do scenes.
Okay.
I feel like if there is a movie, I think going back and forth between what we liked and what we disliked probably would have been better for movies like Challengers or Femme, which had more scenes that we liked.
Yes.
But this one I think is a perfect one to kind of go back and forth as far as like what we liked as far as the scenes, and then I think what we think the movie could have done better. Because again, in concept, like the idea in concept is original, but I feel like there could have been a way to execute it better.
Yes. Okay. So let's go into scenes. Would you like to start, Cindy, or would you like me to start?
I can start because I want to take one of your scenes.
Ooh, you taking one of mine?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So one of the scenes that I really liked was when Kiernan.
You are taking my scene.
Yes, I am. Mm-hmm. I'm taking it. So Kiernan Shipka, her character is, I think we get context because, you know, it's sometimes difficult to figure out what the age of a character is when you already know the age of the actor. So Kiernan Shipka's character was playing, I think, a high school or college dropout, early college dropout, who decided to leave home to become a Vegas showgirl, right? And there's a scene where she stops by Shelley's home, played by Pamela Anderson, looking for like emotional support because she realizes that her mom will not let her back home. I think context was given that like her family is like super religious, and so her going to become a showgirl is very anti-religion, and so I guess her mom gave her a threat being like, if you leave, you're never going to be able to come back home. And Kiernan goes up to Shelley's home, Pamela Anderson's home, knocks on the door and being like, hey, my mom kicked me out. Like, she actually kicked me out. I didn't think this was going to happen. And Shelley pretty much goes and looks at her and is like, hey, I'm going through a lot right now. I can't emotionally support you. Practically, like, pretty much telling her to leave. Right? And to me, I feel like that scene really showcased how pitiful and how terrible of a person Shelley is, because you kind of got hints of that throughout the movie, but you kind of felt bad for her because she just seems like a person who really wanted to follow her passion. And like, how can you fault somebody for following their passion? But then in actuality, she's just super self-centered. And I felt like that scene really like honed it in for me.
Yes. So with these scenes, we don't just say the ones that we enjoyed. We just bring up scenes that stuck out in our head. So the next one I would like to bring up. Oh, God.
I already know.
God. So,
I already know. I can guess it.
Jamie Lee Curtis is in this movie.
Yep. Knew it. Yeah. I knew it.
Her character is Annette. And she was also a showgirl, but she got, it seemed like, kicked out of the showgirl group.
She made it seem like she quit.
Yeah, it was one of those things like, you can't fire me because I quit type thing. It seemed like that vibe. Mm-hmm. But anyways, so Annette is working as a cocktail waitress in Vegas. If you've ever been to Vegas, you always see the cocktail waitresses if you're in like the gambling area. And so there's a whole scene. It felt at like 10 minutes, but I think it was probably like 5, maybe. Mm-hmm. Annette, Jamie Lee Curtis, gets on a table, one of the gambling tables, and she dances. Yep. She dances and dances, and I think it's interspliced with Shelley, Pamela Anderson's character. I forgot what she was doing though, but she was doing something. I think was she also dancing? I don't know if she was also dancing or if she was packing or something. I don't remember, but it was interspliced. And so, so that was a scene that I did not enjoy because, one, it felt unrealistic that a random person would just get up on a table at their job and just start dancing. I mean, given that Annette is a very unconventional character, maybe, but it felt unrealistic. Like, I could see her dancing on a table, okay, but nobody came up to her and said, ma'am, you need to get off of that table right now. That's the part where I was like, okay, we're not in reality anymore.
I want to add, in my screening, they offered the option to stay to watch a Q&A session. Jamie Lee actually spoke about that scene. Supposedly, it is a thing that happens in Vegas. Ooh. At least, I don't know. I'm assuming it's present time for this film. I don't know if there's a different time, but she was stating that there are some bottle girls who do have instances where they get up on the stage and dance. Mm-hmm. Typically, it's there's more people around and the
Yeah.
and expectation is like money's going to be dropped off. But she was just like, there are times where it's like, hey, it's like, it's 7:30. Okay. And that it's your like 7:30 is your call time to get on the like table and dance.
Yeah.
At least that's the way she was explaining it. Where it's just like,
I see what she's saying.
Yeah.
But I would think I've been to Vegas a lot of times. Okay. I'm not really.
Are you saying you're a gambler? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not a gambler, so that's also a problem. But I've been to Vegas a lot of times, and like I know what she's talking about, but I think that would be more apropos if it's in the club and you actually have bottle girls instead of cocktail waitresses in a casino. Normally, the casino is more chill than a club would be. The club would totally make sense. Get up on the table and dance, 100%. Sparklers, champagne, whatever else. That makes sense, but I could see what they're doing, but it still doesn't. You know what I'm saying? Someone would have told her to get off of the table if we were. You know what I mean? It's a thing, but not for that situation, and definitely not with. I know her job did not say get on the table every. No, they were not doing that with the cocktail waitresses. But I understand what the scene's supposed to be. It's supposed to be Annette trying to live out those glory days when she was the hot thing, and she would have a job where she was the center of attention, and she would get up and dance, and people would give her money and all that stuff. I get you. I understand. I surprisingly have got the context clues. Okay, I did not do too good on my SAT ACT for comprehension, but today I got you. I got you, baby. Okay. But, nice. Yeah, so it just didn't work for me. Point blank, period. Thank you.
Yeah. I wasn't a fan of it either. I felt like it was too long.
It was very long. If it was shorter and someone told her to get off of that table, then I probably would have been like, okay, yeah, damn.
Yeah. That sucks. Let her dance a little bit, please.
A little bit. Get down for that table right now.
Yep. Okay. So, the next scene that I think I actually found this to be really funny was when Pamela actually auditioned for. So, yes. As far as like extra context for those who haven't seen the movie, there was another show that pretty much was like the reason why her show that she was the Vegas Showgirl show that she was a part of, I can't remember, why it was like kind of dwindling was because people were going to this new show, which she dictated was more raunchy because people were doing more sexual type moves, and they were, even though the showgirls were not very clothed, they were less clothed. And so she gave a lot of the showgirls that she worked with, specifically Kiernan Shipka's character and Brenda Song's character, a hard time for even considering going to audition. But she auditioned. She had been practicing her dance for like weeks on end to show up for this audition. And I'm not going to even lie. I really thought she was going to do something. Like I thought she was going to have some sort of talent of some sort to kind of like I could get like, because to me, right, I could see her being the type of person of like being one of those old heads that is just like, it's about the art, it's about the craft, you know? So like she's really, really good, but she doesn't want to do a show like that because it's different than what she's trained for, you know? You know how a lot of older people are very resistant to change? So that's what I thought it was going to give. I thought she had something and that she was just resistant to change, but she needs money, right? It's understandable she needs money. And based on her background, her stating that, like, I think she stated she didn't really spend a lot of time on her education. I don't think she really had anything else to fall back on. Nothing. So I thought she was just going to do it. And it's the way when she showed up after all this practice and gave nothing. Like, it actually was piss poor. Yeah. And it was the way that she was fighting with the, like, I guess is it the recruiter or whoever that was? Yeah. Being like, you need to give me this chance. And he was just like, you're terrible. Like, I gave you the chance because of your age and the fact that I respected you. I gave you 2 tries. Like, after the first try, I wanted to kick you out. Yeah. And it was the way that she was going back and forth. And I was just a little bit shocked because I was like, wow, you actually suck. And you see, I really thought you weren't going to suck.
And that reminds me of the scene with her daughter. And she's like, I actually showed up and I watched your nudie show. And I thought I was going to see something that would justify you not being there for me when I was a child. And I didn't. You suck, basically.
Yep.
And so, yeah, she deserved that lashing. And we got it firsthand. Because I was like, girl, I thought you were going to at least do a little something. Can we get a pirouette?
Right.
Please.
Yes.
It was very, very bad.
Please.
And like, okay, it wasn't the worst thing I've seen for dancing. Not even close. But you spent 30
months.
Or how many?
It felt
50 years at this point. However many years, 40 years doing this. You ignored your child. And that's the best you have. And she had such a mentality of, well, you know, the show, it's different. It's amazing. It's what Vegas is about.
Right.
Showgirls are the top of the top. This show is amazing and that show's trash because it's a nudie show, but it's not a nudie show. It's more than a show. And I'm like, girl, you are a low-tier dancer who's only here because, like the director said, you were pretty back in the 80s. And you were beautiful enough that they were like, she'll learn the steps. And then you got in. That's it. Now you don't have the looks. What do you have now?
Yep.
Yikes.
Yeah. Yeah. And you want to know what's so funny, too? After that scene with the daughter, I really thought, I was just like, oh, you know, it's just like, for one, I'm not justifying her being a bad mom. Regardless of if she was good or not, she should not have put her child second to her career. Like if you have a child, you need to put the time in to raise that child. And I'll stand 10 toes down on that. But when it came in, I just really thought it was just like, oh, she just found the show to be a little bit simple. Yeah. You know, like her mom was good, but like it was still simple, and that's the reson why.
Or
you know?
she's just traumatized because she saw her mom naked. One of the two.
Yeah. But yeah, at the end, I'm like, yeah, you got everything you deserved. You deserved more from your kid. Like her kid is actually much nicer to her than I think is deserved.
Way too nice.
So yeah.
Yes. I have one more scene that comes to mind.
I also have one. Let's see if they're the same.
We'll see if it's the same. When Shelley, main character, Pamela, goes to dinner with Dave
that's my scene.
Yes, Eddie.
Yep.
Oh, brother, Eddie is the worst. He's the worst.
Truly.
He's the worst. They're both the worst.
He's the worst character.
But I think Eddie's even worse because, she was a deadbeat mom, but at least she was half there. She was at least half there. Bro, Eddie, you are the father of this girl and you did nothing. Yep. You talk to this woman every day. You have a child together and you did nothing. Yeah. And then
why are things so awkward too? Like you have a kid together.
Awkward. 1, 2. Where were you for the financial compensation? Go on with the win. Yep. And then on top of that, you fix your mouth. It's been that child is what? She has to be like
in
20.
College.
Yeah. She's in 20 years old. How dare you fix your mouth to say, well, Shelley, you should have just got a job.
Yeah.
Why were you on the stage? You should have got a job that was within hours so that you could take care. You weren't there. Yep. Daddy wasn't there to take me to the fair. Where was Dad? Where was he, babes? He was gone.
Nowhere.
So that part was not making sense to me. He needed to be punched in the face. And that, because I didn't know that was their child. I forgot when I found out. I didn't either. But when I found that out, I was looking at Annette like, why did you tell her to get back with this dude? You remember that scene? Yeah.
Well, my question is, do they know?
I want to know, do they know? Because Annette, why would you say, oh, you could go with Eddie because he'll take care of you? Obviously, he's not the type.
See, I feel like they don't know because she wanted to keep it hush-hush.
That's what it seems like. But girl, you had a whole child. You might as well have had your child adopted. And we could have solved everything.
She practically did. But like that was later in life. She just kind of dropped her daughter off at a friend's home.
And just never came back.
She was like, oh, you know, insert friend's mom's name really seemed to have a handle on it. So I just dropped our daughter. And and another thing about Dave Bautista's character, the way he was trying to shame her into dropping the kid off. And I'm like, yes, right?
Crazy.
in the scheme of things, it'd be better for them to have raised the kid, but at the very least, she knew her limits and saw that, like, she couldn't do it. If she wanted to continue with her career, she couldn't raise her kid.
Yep.
By herself. So what she did was she put her in a home where she could be raised, you know? Like, your child has a semblance of normalcy in life because of the fact she made that decision, right?
Yep.
She's a bad mom, but at least at that, she did that right, you know?
I'm like, bro,
and
you should not be saying anything. You are worse than
not
her.
a single
You
word.
did nothing.
And,
nothing. Yeah. She doesn't even know you exist.
It's the way that he also was just like, you need to get a better job. But I'm like, you're the one who's signing her checks.
Yeah.
You are nickel and diming her on all these clothing things that she's breaking.
Girl, I know he did not pay child support.
No, not at all. Not at all. Because if he did, like, I don't think this would have been that much of a concern. No. You know? I don't think he would have said anything if he actually paid child support. But again, it's like, you're going to be nickel and diming her knowing that she's raising your child. How does that make sense? Also, because I'm like, oh, she tore a wing, and that tearing of wing is the difference between my daughter getting food or not. Maybe I should take a little bit of a dip, is what I feel like he should have done. If he wasn't going to put any effort into raising their kid. And mind you, right, this is making assumptions based off of, like, we only saw when the daughter was, like, in her 20s that Pamela's character was making damages. But I'm assuming stuff like that happened, and Dave Bautista just, like, didn't bat an eye.
Yep.
He just let it happen. Yeah, that scene, for me, I think that's when we found out. Like, I could sense some sort of tension, and I didn't understand it. And that's where the tension was explained, where he's like, it's like he's the father of their daughter. It also explained that, like, awkward encounter that he and the daughter had in the back room when he was just like, oh, yeah, I've heard so much about you. Because I'm like, why would Shelley be talking to her boss about the kid? You know, that doesn't make any sense to me.
But then also, sorry to interrupt, also, the weird dynamic that all of them have where Kiernan Shipka, is that how you say her name?
Yes.
I try so hard. Her character was like, I think of you as mom and dad. Like, they had like a weird family thing going on. And I'm like, why are you guys so close, but also not close, but close, but not close? Mean,
I feel like that's mainly more for Kiernan's character to showcase how young she is. Because I don't think Brenda's character necessarily looked Brenda, at them like family.
She's the most realistic, real person out of any of these hoes.
Yes.
And we know nothing about her.
For a reason. Like, she keeps work and her life separate. Like, she's down to hang out with her coworkers, because there was that scene where they did have a meal at Shelley's home, and that's how when Dave Bautista's character got invited. Yep. But she would never call them mom and dad. When the whole thing was like the show was shutting down, she was like, it's just another job. I think it just Kiernan calling Dave Bautista and Pamela mom and dad showcased how young she was, and what she needed was parental figures, because she ultimately was cut off from her own.
Yep. Yeah, it just seems like the whole gang, minus Brenda's character, because she's the only one with her head on straight, all of them have like a weird enmeshment type of vibe, because you had a whole child with your boss. Yeah, that's weird. And then it seems like her friend Annette is trying to be like dependent on her type of vibes, especially at the end where, you know, they're going to be living together and all that. So yeah, they all just have. And then of course, what was the Shipka's character's name? Jody. Jody also, obviously. That one's obvious. But yeah. I digress. Any other scenes?
I don't think so.
Yeah. So, I think that's all I have to say for this one. Yeah, I forgot.
I think I have something to say.
Okay.
Overall, I think this movie could have been so much better. It had so much potential. It makes me very disappointed that this was the project that Pamela Anderson had to come back with, because I mean, it was giving more so. It was the way that the character was written. And it wasn't Pamela, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it just felt like a very, very sorry film in every sense of the word, where the character was sorry, the like way it was shot, it looked kind of like, I think it was all done on film, so it had that sort of like
grainy
huge graininess to it, which made it feel even sorry. And then overall the plot and story was just sorry.
Yeah.
You know, like
yeah.
So it had potential. I really think something like this could have been done. Maybe actually. I can't even say for sure. But I always like to have some hope that movies that are of original concept have potential of being great.
Yeah.
But this just missed the mark for me.
Yes. I think along the lines of what you said, the main issue for me was there was no plot. Like, the plot was thin. It was thin, and I thought before I watched this movie, I thought it was going to be, okay, I lost my job as a showgirl. Let me try to audition. And I thought she was going to audition.
Ooh,
No. And then at the end, she would snap. And then, maybe some other stuff would happen. But, like some forward movement. And it felt very stagnant instead. And also when I was watching the movie, they introduced Jodie and Mary Ann, which is Brenda's character. I didn't know her name was Mary Ann. Brenda Son's character. So those two.
Give me 1 second.
Yes.
My cat is eating a cord.
Winston. He lives on vibes solely.
Okay, continue. You'll see in the video that of me trying to push him away. He literally was trying to eat the cord of my lights.
Hey, he's hungry.
No, he is not. He is not. Don't spew those lies. We don't need
she starves
PETA
her cat.
coming
He's
up.
So hungry.
I do not. I feed him twice a day at a portion that my vet says is good, and he's very healthy. And I really do hope that people are hearing you with sarcasm, because if not, I do not want someone to show up
PETA
at my home trying to take my cat from me.
Everybody call PETA. The number is... Anyways.
Leave my cat alone. So he's gone now. Apologies.
Yes, back to the topic at hand. So yeah, with the two younger characters, Marianne and Jodie, having them in the movie, I wanted to know more about them because I found them more entertaining because they show like another side to the showgirl life that I thought was kind of interesting, and I wanted to see more of that. So it could have been I would have liked to see, or I assumed this movie was going to be like the kind of like sisterhood that goes on behind the showgirl, the competition that goes on behind being a showgirl, and then how you can age out of that bracket and have nothing left and nothing to go to, no retirement, and like you just have to figure out what to do. But I just feel like this movie, we need a little bit more plot. This felt like draft one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, to your point, I just feel like the movie as is, like what you're saying, it would need to be a whole new movie because I don't think any more information,
a whole different
should
movie.
be added. Yeah,
like
I agree.
Go ahead. This is a wonderful draft. You did we're gonna scrap it, and we're gonna restart. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. We're gonna restart. That was vibes, but I do appreciate that this is a new concept. Yeah, because a lot of people, they be making remakes, and I'm like, why would you remake that and then do a worse job? So yeah, I'll give them credit for at least making something new and unique.
Unique.
Period.
Okay, are you ready to move to our next film?
Yes.
Okay.
Duh.
So next is That's good. Yes. Because our next film is Anora, first let me clarify, what would Annie be considered? Is she, you know what I'm trying to ask?
Yeah. Well, she's a strip club dancer, but she's also a prostitute. Let's keep it $150. Let's keep it $150. Yeah, she was having sex for money. She's a prostitute. Okay. I'm so sorry. And there's nothing wrong with being a prostitute.
There's nothing.
Just make sure you stay safe. I just want to
make sure. Right. I just want to make sure I don't want to call somebody a prostitute when it's not when they're not a prostitute. You know? So
I think
there's nothing wrong with it, but
term now is sex worker.
Okay.
So
that's what I'll use.
Maybe we'll roll with that. That's a little bit easier.
Yeah.
And that covers like a whole range of services.
Yes.
Wow.
So this story follows a sex worker named Annie who gets and finds herself, I guess, more into a whirlwind romance with the son of, I guess, a Russian crime conglomerate. It's questionable what his parents actually do.
Yeah.
So she finds herself in some sort of romance where she ends up getting married to him. But because of the fact that he's young and dumb, his parents don't want that to happen. And he ends up running away when his parents' henchmen come to grab him to annul the marriage. So the movie kind of follows Annie's endeavors into trying to find this Russian man who ends up actually becoming her husband, and ultimately trying to delude herself into thinking that what she actually has between her and him is love. Mm-hmm. Would you say that's a good synopsis?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Perfect. Now let's go band for band.
Let's go scene for scene. Hey.
Yeah. How many scenes do you think you got?
How many scenes do I got? I think I have probably 4.
Shoot!
I think.
Then I'm going to let you carry.
Oh, okay. Let's see if I remember them all, though. So the first scene... Okay, this one's kind of a small scene, but I like that they showed her in her, like, habitat in the beginning. And it was her working as a dancer, and they just showed you, like, the real, like, what it is in the club. I really appreciated that because I was like, damn, girl. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it, girl. I couldn't do it. Get away from me. Oh, my God. And so that was a good beginning because it kind of laid the foundation of, like, at least a part of who Annie is. She has to turn off a part of herself and perform for men.
Yes.
That's a part of her livelihood. So I thought that was very interesting. I liked how they started with that.
Yeah, I think I think as far as scene opening, I think it was a very effective scene opening because you got an opportunity to be introduced to the character with very little words. It was more action, and they let the setting dictate more of who our character is than like interactions with people, which I really appreciated. I think, again, I like when films are unique, especially with, as you were mentioning, so many movies and things just being remakes or just reruns of something that's been done before. So having something that's different, even if it's just the way that they film a certain shot or film a certain shot, I find quite enjoyable and commendable. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to think if there's scenes. See, and it's so hard because this movie is getting like blurred in with so many other movies.
Yeah, and we watched this a while ago.
Yeah, I think a scene that I like, a sequence, I guess, would be the one where, what's his name? Vanya's henchmen come after Vanya leaves and they tie up Annie and she's fighting for her life.
Oh my God.
I literally find that so commendable because I would like to hope and I would like to think that if I'm ever in a situation where I am in danger that I could fight. She literally beat up 3 grown men by herself.
She broke that guy's nose.
To me.
Period.
She broke his nose. She broke the room. Literally, it was, I forget his name, but he was holding her down and he was like, let her go. And the guy was like, no, she's dangerous. She's like, I am so impressed. Like, she was able to assess her situation and she had multiple ways of leaving.
She did a great job.
And that actress claps for the actress of that scene because that
she
was acting. That was beautiful.
Killed it.
That was beautiful.
That whole scene felt authentic. I was in the moment for that entire thing. And I was like, in my seat, like, yes, girl. I hate when they have in a movie and the person like doesn't even fight back. Girl, you better fight. You better
fighting. She was fighting.
And she fought.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Also, in that same scene, the part where Homeboy took her ring, did that happen in that scene? Or is that later?
Yeah, it was at the end of that scene.
Okay.
Because she was showing him, she was like, I'm married. He's my husband. And he goes,
3 carats.
Tink. He's like, Tink. That's not yours.
He's
That does not belong to you.
That moment is when the fight left her body. She was
it did.
That changed things, and she was kind of like questioning everything at that point. And then I think that's when like delusion mode 2.0 kicked in.
Yeah.
And it was like on hyperdrive at that point.
Yep.
Good times. The scene after that, let me think. I think I enjoyed the scene when they actually find Vanya and then they have a fight in the club.
Yeah, because he was with Annie's arch nemesis, which was like so subtly mentioned. Subtly mentioned. Yeah.
But yeah, I love that they actually fought, and that's a little drama right there. And I like the aspect of everybody gossiping in the club and like, oh, did you see her fiance's in the club? Oh, I'm gonna give him a dance. Like, oh, right. I was like, this is drama, and I'm here for it, girl. I'm here for it.
And with that scene, I just wanted to say I was really rooting for Annie, but that arch nemesis was like, I promise you, you're gonna be back here in 2 weeks.
And she was right.
And I was right. Like, and
she's right.
Yeah, it paints a picture of like, it seems like that happens a lot with sex workers where they get proposed to thinking that it's going to be like a magical thing, and then all of a sudden they're back. Like not even mere weeks after getting supposedly married. That to me, it's like, it's sad. I was really rooting for her, but as the movie was going, I was realizing that there's nothing to root for. A scene that was kind of prior to that I wanted to mention real quickly before moving on, not necessarily that I liked, but I found that whole sequence of finding Vanya so boring.
Too long.
It was way too long. There was too many people to talk to. There was too many places to go.
And actually I can get into another scene in there, because I think the only good part of that, and I think they could have done it in less time because that scene of them just looking around for them was too long. We need to cut that in half. It could have
been a montage, please.
Yeah, honestly, a montage, maybe a little bit of the important parts, and that's it. But I like the part where, and you got to correct me because this is kind of foggy in my memory. I think it was Igor. Is that the guy's name? Igor.
I think so.
And Annie, they're like talking and they're like walking, and it's getting cold.
At the pier. Yeah.
Yes. And she had, originally they tied her up and put a gag in her mouth, which was this red scarf.
Yes.
And so he was like, hey, do you want this scarf? And she's looking at him like, bro, you gagged me with that scarf. And she keeps walking like, are you dumb? And then 2 seconds later, she's like, actually, it's kind of cold. I will take that scarf. Thank you. That part was really funny. So I'm like, you could keep that and then maybe keep like 2 seconds of them at the diner, because that was kind of funny, and they were asking random people at the table. And then the rest of it, cut it down, down. They were searching all. I'm like, dang. Y'all went everywhere. What's up with that?
Everywhere but where they should have gone in the first place.
Exactly. Always. But
I did say, though, I think it would have been fun to see what Vanya was doing, though. Like, if we got his POV.
Yep.
That would have been really nice.
Because it was obvious that he would be at the club. Like, that's not really like he was at the club the whole time. So they should have just revealed it the second they started looking and been like, damn, bro, he went to the club. Are you joking?
I mean, he went to other places too. Like, he was drunk by the time he got. So I think it would have been nice. But I think maybe it would have made the film more of like comedy-esque when they're trying to go for drama. Mm-hmm. So that would be my only thing. I'm trying to think. I think there was like that scene with Vanya and Annie in the house when they finally get not Vanya, excuse me, Igor and Annie in the house when they finally get them to annul the marriage, and it's Igor sitting there, and Annie's like, you have grape eyes, and he goes, I don't have grape eyes, like, I don't. And she goes, yeah, you do. And it was just like, it was giving like language barrier at the same time. Like, there was just like a lack of understanding between them that I found to be so or not serious but funny, because like he was giving innocent and she was giving serious, right? Like, she was being so serious, so dead serious, and he was like, oh haha, you're funny. And I don't know. I feel like there was like giving flirty banter. So I don't know if like the director was trying to push. Like it seemed like they were hinting at an Igor Annie sort of romantic connection from the moment that he tied her up. But I don't know if that was like that interaction was going to serve as that. But I found that scene to be quite funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, they seemed ever since she tried to kill him and he restrained her, they definitely went from enemies to kind of sort of lovers. And that brings us to
kind of sort of your favorite scene.
My favorite scene of the movie, the ending.
Yes.
Wow.
Yep.
And so for the ending, after all this nonsense, they had to fly to Vegas to get an annulment and all this crap, right? The parents flew in from Russia. It was over. Okay.
Yep.
So they go hang out at the house, like Cindy said, and then afterwards, Igor drives Annie home, and so he's bringing her stuff to the front door, and then he gets back in the car, and they basically just have like a little chat, and Igor shows like, hey, the ring that homeboy stole from you, here's the ring back.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And
yeah, it's yours.
She was like, you could tell it just meant so much to her. You could see it on her face. She was like, this is basically, it was just such a symbol for her of like the hope that she had that love actually existed, basically.
It's true.
So she got, part of her life was restored when she received that ring back. And it was very nice to see. So then, after that, they have a little bit more banter. Well, she was actually like silent for a while he was putting away all the luggage and whatnot. But when he
taking
came
it
back,
to her front door.
Yes, when he came back, she, long story short, she initiates sexual contact, we'll say, and so she gets on top of him in the driver's seat, and they start having sex, and it's like a very weird scene because you're like, it's like she felt like she was obligated to do that because he got the ring back from her. But you can tell, like, it was something that was automatic, but Igor's so genuine that it's not like a transaction thing for him. It feels like it's real to him, but it's a transaction thing in her mind. And he's like trying to make it real, but she's trying to resist it. And so it culminates with, him trying to like hold her like head and face like in a very romantic way and pull her in for a kiss. Her. Yes.
Yeah.
And she jerks back and has like a hesitation moment, and then she just starts hitting him and hitting him and hitting him, and then she starts bawling, crying on his chest. And guess what? That's the end, baby. Thank you. Thank you. Windshield wipers activate. I
think I've learned that what you really like is when the movie ends with just crying, because that's you said you really liked Past Lives ending, and it's just literally her crying into the arms of her husband.
Hey, it is what it is. Hey, okay. I also love Call Me By Your Name, and that ends in the same way. Period.
Yeah, I think I'm going to try to start through this series. I'm going to try to build your favorite movie, like we're just pulling aspects of things that you said. Right now, any movie that it doesn't matter what type of plot or whatever, the ending has to be somebody crying.
You see?
And it has to be like an extended period of just crying.
I'm going to find a counterexample.
Okay, you need to find it, because right now you're 3 for 3. Call Me By Your Name, Past Lives, and Anora.
Yep. Someone in the comments suggests some movies where people cry at the end, but the movie says
at the very end, and it has to be an extended scene of crying. Like, it can't just be like a couple of tears. Yeah, no, it needs to be extended, because that's the only way that it can be comparable. And it needs to be a scene where you remove all audio, right? Because Call Me By Your Name, you have the crackling of the fire. Anora, you have the windshield wipers. And then I think with Past Lives, you can say it's like the buzz of New York. Yeah. But it's typically stripped of all other audio, and it's quite silent.
So powerful. Wow. I love it.
Yes. So just to go moving on, what are things that you would say compare The Last Showgirl and Anora.
Yeah, so the things that they have in common. So, of course, we have a female-led movie in both cases where where the women are flawed. I think that's the key in both of these. They both have aspects about them that are toxic, and they're just rocking out with the cards that they're dealt. Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, I think that would be one for me.
They're both entertainers.
True. Yes. Sex worker
and I feel like
vibes.
and I would say they're both emotionally stunted.
Yeah.
Like, they're incapable of fully expressing their emotions in a way that conveys what they wanted to convey. And so I think that's another thing that ties them.
Yes, ma'am. Trying to think if there's anything else.
They're both hopelessly optimistic.
Hopelessly optimistic. Oh my God.
Pamela Anderson's character in thinking that, like, the show is not going to close, and then also assuming that she is good enough to get another job, and then Annie's character in believing that Vanya actually loves her, and that despite the fact that he ran away when she was in trouble, is not answering her calls, it's like they will all work out and they will live happily ever after. So hopelessly optimistic, like, to a fault.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Delusion.
I think delusional. That's hopelessly optimistic is a nicer way of saying delusional.
Delusional.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's everything for me.
Yeah, same.
Do you want to get into rankings?
Let's get into ranking. Let me pull up the previous ranking.
So I'm gonna pull it from the top of my head. I think right now we're at Femme is number 1. Challengers for number 2.
Correct.
Anatomy of a Fall number 3. Past Lives number 4. Babygirl number 5. And Nightbitch number 6.
That is correct. Cindy's the GOAT.
Hey. Okay. So based on these films, right, and how they went, I would personally, this is gonna be drama because it's one of those things where I believe I'm gonna do Last Showgirl first.
Okay.
I feel like it's worse than one of the movies in this list, but it's definitely better than the movie that I'm trying to put it above. But it's like, to say that it's that close to the movie that I'm trying to put it above feels like it's insulting. So right now, I feel like
damn, Cindy, tell us how you really feel. Jesus.
I feel like I'm gonna put it. I'm thinking of putting The Last Showgirl below Babygirl and above Nightbitch.
Yeah.
It's the way the cookie crumbles, and that cookie was really crumbling.
Yeah, it was, unfortunately.
So
I agree. I agree with that.
Okay.
I can't lie. Indubitably.
And then, do you want to say where you would put Anora on the list?
Yes, I will say where I will put Anora. So, and we can debate if necessary. So, I would put Anora under Past Lives.
And above Babygirl?
Yes.
Oh, then I agree with you.
Period. Alignment.
Yeah. Alignment.
Yeah. Too easy.
It's better than Babygirl for sure. But it's not any better than the top 4. It's like, it's nowhere close.
Yeah. Because my main complaint about Past Lives was a good portion of the middle was boring, but I feel like the portion in Anora was more boring and more long.
Yeah.
Than the one in Past Lives. Woo! Past Lives, it was like, can we just hurry this up a little bit? In Anora, I was like, okay, we kind of derailed the whole momentum of the movie with this, what's going on here. So
yeah, agreed. Yeah.
Well,
okay. We haven't debated yet. What is this? We're 4 episodes in, not a single debate.
Not a single debate, honestly.
I feel like we're pretty. I really don't feel like we're gonna debate. I truly believe that we're pretty aligned on films.
Yeah.
And yeah, it'll be interesting though if we do get to one. I feel like I'm one of these episodes. I'm just gonna argue with you just for the sake of arguing, just to add some spice.
I can see it.
Yeah, it'd be fun. I feel
But
like it'd be fun just to be like,
see, the worst
wrong.
part though is if a lot more of these movies were really, really good, I feel like we would have more of a debate. But it's the fact that
if they were like all femme level, yeah.
Yes, then we would be having some debates. But it's just the fact that a lot of these are like, it was good.
Mediocre at best.
Nah. And if it's it doesn't really matter where you put it, you know?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am. So that is our new ranking. We have Femme, Challengers, Anatomy of a Fall, Past Lives, Anora, Babygirl, The Last Showgirl, and Nightbitch.
Wonderful.
Till next time.
Till more movies. Good. Gosh darn it. I wanted to curse, but let's just say gosh darn it.
Gosh darn it.
Yeah. Anyway, bye, Chanel.
Bye. Is someone knocking on my door? Hello? Open the door. Open the door. I'm filming a podcast right now. Goodbye.
Bye.
You want to say hi to the podcast?
No, thank you.
Okay, bye.